What's the
song?
Don't know yet. Don't know yet. We have a few options. We'll see how the mood takes us tomorrow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital Download. This is where we talk about the things that we've learned, and you share what you've learned this last week, and we have a debate and a discussion about it. So, first of all, I want to thank the people from Restream.io for the platform. And then if we go around and just do some introductions. So, Thomas.
Well, hello all. I'm Thomas Ross. I'm the founder of Social Sales HQ and a very active partner and advocate for DLA Ignite and all things digital.
Cool. Mike.
Hello, everybody. Mike Garrison, values-based mindset, and also a proud associate of DLA. I freaking love financial advisors.
Cool. Thank you. Adam.
It's amazing, isn't it? In my mid-50s, and I've never heard anybody say that before, Mike. I'm Adam Gray. I'm Tim's business partner at DLA Ignite. And yes, it's lovely to be here chatting about what we've learned this week and just shooting the breeze with friends.
Lenwood.
Hi, I'm Linwood Ross. I'm the founder and CEO of Accelerate. We focus on digital culture and helping the enterprises with their social selling.
Thank you. So who wants to go first in terms of discussing what they've seen and learned this week? I thought I'd be democratic this week.
We've got a question, haven't we, first of all, from
we have a question?
Michael Bathurst.
I see that.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Michael. So, good opening. What are you grateful for? Thomas?
Well, I think I'm most grateful that the world seems to be getting back into its groove economically, and that things are looking positive, and that the opportunities that come with that for all that are willing to do what they need to do to get there are never better. I'm impressed how much of a rebound seems to be taking place.
Mike, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that if you actually try, you can find worthwhile human interaction and commercial results online. But you got to have a strategy. It's been a great week.
Adam, what are you grateful for?
I guess I'm most of all, I'm grateful for my lot in life. You know, I'm doing something that I really love, that I think makes a difference. And so Tim and I have known each other for some years. Obviously, for the last 18 months, we've not traveled. Previously to that, we've traveled all over the world, onboarding resellers and training companies. And we would often find ourselves back in our Airbnb after having dinner and having had a heavy day's training, just laughing like drains because it's so far from work as it's possible to get. You know, and we were just chatting about this yesterday, actually, on a Zoom call, saying this beats work. You know, what we do is making a difference. It's empowering people. We get to work with lovely guys like you. We get to work with lovely clients. We get to make a difference, and we get to have real fun doing it. So that's what I'm thankful for. This is a holiday.
Lenwood, what are you grateful for?
That was beautiful, Adam.
Your turn. Next.
I have to. It's going to sound a little bit like an echo, but I'm really grateful for this.
An
echo of what these guys have said. Because I'm really grateful for this amazing technology that is social media. I routinely shake my head at the types of interactions that you can have, the people that you can meet. I mean, since I've gotten really active on social media, I mean, I've made friends all over the world. I just ran in. I posted this morning that one of my friends. Tim interviewed one of my teenage friends, and I was scrolling through.
She wasn't a teenager at the time.
She wasn't. When Tim interviewed, she's our age now. Okay, but when I was just going through his feed, looking for something, and I see her. He interviewed her for Tim Talk, and I saw her face, and I was like, oh, I can't believe it! Wow! And I've not seen her or talked to her in 30 years. Easily.
Wow!
Yeah, it was really crazy. So we reconnected yesterday. We spent some time on Zoom, and we had so much fun. We're going to talk again. She's in the people business. You know, she's a
CPO.
Yeah. So it's great. We're excited to possibly do something.
I'm always reminded of when Friends Reunited was launched. You know, that first social network where you could reconnect with old school and college friends. And it made me realize that actually sometimes you lose contact with people for a reason. Anyway, so Tim, what are you grateful for?
Well, it kind of, I've got the best job in the world. I'm changing the world, and I do it every day. And isn't it fantastic? Better still, I'm going to bring about the end of email marketing and I'm really gradually. We've got measure me. We've got email marketing now down to a 98% failure rate, and I'm going to get it to 98.5%.
Goals. #goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Email marketing sucks.
Such a drain on everything. So thank you, Michael, for that. That was a really good opener. Thank you.
I'm here for that.
So who's going to go first?
Well, mine's probably the shortest and probably most disconnected from what I think is the big topic, which is Tim's topic. But Facebook announced that everyone at Facebook will have the opportunity, should they desire, to work remotely. That was announced on Wednesday. And so, people are already talking about, Apple reconsidering their 3-day-a-week policy of being in the office. They said everyone had to be in the office for 3 days a week, and people started quitting, and the pitchforks came out. They're on their way. The pitchforks and the torches going to Tim Cook's office.
Adam and I spent some time in California back in 2019, and we went to all the high-tech HQs, check them out. So we went to see the Apple HQ. I actually drove us to the old HQ to begin with.
It's a spaceship.
And then because the old HQ is called Infinite Loop, so I thought that Infinite Loop was the new place, and it wasn't. So we went to the right place, and it was amazing. But having spent all that money on an office, whereas Facebook took Sun Microsystems' office, because you do know that at the front of Facebook, Adam and I've got a photo. The picture of that on the back. It says Sun Microsystems. They just turned it round, just so that people remember what an old company can be like, or how amazing they were going to be, and what happened to them. But Facebook don't really have a lot of real estate, as they would say in the US.
Well, it's certainly better than Google's, though, isn't it?
Oh, it was sharp.
Their office was just derelict almost, wasn't it? There was a play.
It was a couple of huts, yeah.
Yeah, there was a play park with kind of oversized Android.
That's Android shit, yeah.
Yeah, and they were all broken. There was like the Android with the arm hanging off it, and the phone up with a split, and it was just shocking for people that are supposed to be leading the world. mind you. So to your point, Apple will. No wonder they want people in the office. They spent, was it $4 billion building the office?
I think it was $5
billion. Yeah.
I think it was.
So they're thinking to themselves, if people are never going to show up for work, that's a bit of a waste of money, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
$4 billion over budget too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I better shut the office than have everybody leave. I mean, the talent, there's already fierce competition for talent.
Absolutely.
You cannot afford to have a policy that is driving people to your competitors.
Yeah, Facebook just Merrill Lynched Apple.
Thanks, Lenwood. That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, the debate about going back to the office or not will rumble on, and people and I've said a lot on social that the war for talent will be the organisations that actually announce that you don't have to go back to the office.
Yeah,
because I don't want to use the hybrid word, because actually nobody knows what hybrid working means, because what most people think it's 2 days in working from home and 2 days working in office. Well, that's actually what we had before COVID. So hybrid could actually mean work groups. So, for example, my council is turning some of the retail space, because they've gone from like 100% shops down to only 50% occupancy, so they're going to turn some of those shops into workplaces and some of them into residential. So the high street will change, because you'll actually live and work within that environment. That's more of a hybrid event than just saying that everybody with the initial A, B, and C will go into the office on Monday, and everyone with D, E, and F will go in on Tuesday, and that will rumble on. But it's a fight for talent.
Yeah. I really, sorry, go ahead.
I think Lenwood's, I mean, it's not a short piece, because we're still talking about it, but my wife works for a government agency, and within these government agencies, there's a tremendous, in the United States at least, there's tremendous acrimony between different regions, because it depends upon the leadership. What she does is absolutely remote work. Even if you're in an office, it's remote. And yet, if you go to different areas of the country, different fiefdoms, you've got some people that are allowed to work completely at home and mobile, because they've done the research and they know that they're just as productive, if not more. And then you've got other places where you've got an entrenched kind of industrialist leader who wants to see the people, who needs to see the people for basically because they don't trust them. And that's what I think is powerful about Facebook, is they're saying we trust our people, and that is going to be so freaking attractive.
It is. You need, work should be based on outcome, not whether you're sitting in the office. This thing about where Steve, has he taken 2 hours for lunch? Like, it's like, it's from the 1900s.
It's a factory mindset. That's what it is.
The one thing that I think that I still am a little challenged with, this is the not capitalist part of me, is that Facebook is going to adjust salaries based on the market that you live in. And I don't think that's fair. If someone is delivering value, where they live should not be a factor in how much they make.
But that was already happening before COVID, wasn't it? Because I've interviewed somebody on my Tim Talk who lives in Tulsa, but they originally were working in their job was in New York, so they were earning a New York salary, but they were living in Tulsa.
But isn't that?
I don't know if you know, but you can go and live it. The Tulsa Council will pay you $10,000 to go and live in Tulsa. So not only were they getting a New York salary, but they got $10,000 to go and live in Tulsa. But now the financial services organizations are saying if you live in Tulsa, you get Tulsa salary. But that happened before COVID.
I think we could find there's an opportunity for us to move to Tulsa, because then they'll pay $10,000 for us to leave, won't they?
Well, from a technology point, it's really. But isn't this in legacy thought process where companies would force workers, if they want to stay at the company, to relocate to a more expensive area of the country, and then they would incentivize them by like a cost of living increase. We're moving you from Roanoke, super cheap, to San Francisco, super expensive. Here is an increase based upon that. I think it's going to be really ugly for a little bit in that space.
I think the next 2 years there's going to be a massive leaving and joining and all kinds of stuff going on in terms of jobs, because no one's left their last year no one left their job because if you had a job you were lucky. So but now, as soon as, because I don't, in the UK things are opening up, in the US things have kind of not changed that much anyway, but I think there's going to be a massive rotation of jobs.
Yeah, see, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the fight for talent be about quality of life. Yeah. So you can, if I'm not jerking your salary way down, maybe I make an adjustment, but not from maybe you don't need to make what you would be making in New York, in Tulsa, but I don't bring it all the way down to Tulsa. Then you might decide, hey, I want to live someplace that's a little bit more remote, and I get to take a higher salary to that place. And it really becomes, in the United States anyway, the middle of America has really been depleted, and the coasts are super wealthy. And so, what I'd like to see happen in the United States is some of these companies really helping to get people to move to some of these second and third tier cities that offer a much better quality of life, and it can be a real engine of economic growth for the country. And
so you don't have to look at it like that, Linwood. I mean, the Apple example takes care of itself in that regard. So the people of Apple have risen up, as you say, with pitchforks. And the people of every organization are going to fight back just the same way. They have the power right now. They have the economic power. And if you want to drop my salary, that's fine. I'll go work for them.
Yeah.
They're going to give me the
salary. See you, chaps.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. You see, so Sandy's bringing up a point, and the point that I'm making is I want the salary to be dislocated from the location. I want the salary to be connected to the value that I'm delivering to the organization.
But that will happen as a consequence, won't it, of the fact that people won't be working from the office.
Yeah.
Right.
So, if you're taking on a role of job A within a company, here's what we are going to pay for that particular role. And I don't care whether I'm employing Tim, who lives around the corner, or Leonard, who lives across the Atlantic. It doesn't matter, as long as the job gets done and you come to the meetings you need to come to and you deliver value into the business.
Yeah.
Now, the nice thing about that is that it means that increasingly you can not only have the gig economy for your work, but for your life as well.
Yeah.
So you can live in New York for 3 months, and then you can say, actually, I'm going to move to Winnipeg now for 3 months, and Airbnb it in Winnipeg for 3 months, and then think it's winter now, so I don't want to be in Winnipeg, I want to be in LA. So you go to LA for 3 months. And actually this opportunity to move around and have a nomadic existence actually is alien to us, but it's potentially a new chapter in how we work and engage with people, isn't it?
So my partner's 26-year-old has rented out his flat in South London, and he's gone to live in Portugal. It's the same. So just so you know, Portugal in Europe is the same time zone as the UK. He's in sales. It's half the quarter of the third of the price of its stuff in Portugal, and he can go to the beach when he finishes work. He's in sales, so he doesn't need to. He can do everything over the phone or through Zoom, and then he either goes skateboarding or go to the beach and go surfing in the evening. I mean, that's quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Earning the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think
Sandy, thanks for you're a regular watcher, I know, and I really appreciate you out there and contributing. Thanks for that question. I agree, pay based on value, but I think it's that there's a hard turn for talent acquisition and HR to make. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
this is hard for everybody, isn't it? It's hard for you as an employee, recognizing that you're going to be judged on what you do rather than how many hours you sit at your desk. It's hard for you as a manager to manage somebody who might get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work for 4 hours and then spend the day playing with their kids and then do another 4 hours when their kids have gone to bed at night, which doesn't coincide with your work time. And it's hard for businesses to structure themselves. I mean, a client that we work with had an off-site, on-site recently. So they had a team meeting, but because they've all been separate for 18 months, the team meeting was in the office because there was a novelty factor to going into the office for the day. They haven't been into the office for over a year. And I think that there's a whole kind of shake-up to how we work, how we engage with our employers and the companies that we contribute to, how we engage with our other members of the team. It's a very interesting time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic time to live.
It is great,
and I love the fact that we can get on here and have a chat. And I'm not Michael. When you say this, I'm going to actually talk about ourselves. I know we shouldn't do that. It should be about the audience. But actually, we're all in different locations. In effect, we're a remote organization. And we've got people in different organizations, and actually coming us together and talking like this is kind of like an internal meeting, but we externalize it, if you kind of see what I mean. And the whole point when we decided what we're going to do, we said it's going to be like a meeting. Like we're sitting in a bar, we're having a bit of, there's a serious side to it because we're going out on certain, LinkedIn and that, but let's also have a laugh and have a chat, and as if we're meeting up in the bar or something like that. So
I think it's really
maybe this is part of the future of work.
But it's interesting. No, I was just going to say it's really interesting, isn't it? How certainly I can only speak from my own perspective. I have developed as an individual in my ability to use these tools now. Previously, I would have much rather always gone to visit somebody to have a face-to-face meeting with them. For a year and a half, I've not been able to do that. So I've actually had to embrace this kind of technology. And, I've never met you, Mike. I've never met you, Leonard, face to face. And I feel that I know you and I feel that you're friends. And, you could come and stay at my house. Thomas, I've met you many times. And for that very reason, you can't come and stay at my house.
I knew that.
You need to visit Thomas in February.
That's true. That's a good point, Mike.
Flights are very cheap in February.
We went to see Thomas in Winnipeg in October. The week before it was -40, and when we got there it was -17. And we're staying in this Airbnb, and Adam, we get up in the morning. Adam says, "Do you fancy a coffee?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'll go out and get one." Yeah, and I'm thinking it's -17 out there, and he just like puts, and he didn't have any. I've been. My partner and I, we'd been to Iceland for like a holiday, so we got like
Parkas.
I had 2 hats on. I had PC underwear and stuff like that. He just goes out in his jeans, and he comes back. He says it's quite cold out there. He says, "I think my eyeballs are frozen."
Yeah. It was a thick shirt. It was fine.
Oh man!
It went up. While we were there, it went up to a balmy -4.
Oh yeah!
And the Winnipeggans are all out in t-shirts and shorts and sandals and stuff. Nick's here, by the way. Say hi to Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
I liked Michael's comment. It's a form of healing and the future of social media. Completely agree. We're seeing so many more of these kind of collaborative online events as content, and I love that because traditionally the idea of content within a corporate world has been, I'll get marketing to produce my content for me, which I'll distribute. Obviously, we push very hard with our clients for them to create their own content as individuals, but the fact remains that there's an opportunity for you to hide who you are and how you are through your own home produced content. I can write something, and if I don't like it, I can write it again, and I can write it again. I can show it to Tim, and I can show it to Lenwood, and they can give me some feedback, and I can write it again, and then I can publish it. The same with a video. I can sit at my desk and I can shoot a video, and if I don't like it, I can shoot it again and again and again and again and again until I'm happy. Here, this is going out live. So people get to see whether or not you are competent and confident and approachable and human and all of those things. And I think that's incredibly powerful.
Yes.
Incredibly powerful. There isn't anywhere to hide.
Yeah.
It
It's
flips the
authentic,
funnel.
isn't it?
It flips the funnel. I mean, that's what I was going to talk about. Do you mind if I jump on
Yeah,
that?
Mike,
Please
flip the
do.
funnel, please, flip it.
That-
So last time we agreed that we were going to do a jingle with Mike Spot or something. So we all go, Mike
Mike
Spot.
Spot.
So ready, 1, 2, 3.
Mike Spot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my Elvis impersonation. So what I wanted to talk about was basically, say again?
Blue suede shoes.
No. I do have suede shoes. They just came from Zappos.
Cool.
Just very nice. I'm very excited about them. Loungers. But that's not self-serving. No, I'm just kidding. Nick, a poor guy who trained me in video and doesn't want credit for it. But here's the thing. When we bring this advertising mindset to social, right? This traditional push interrupt mindset, that's where this, hey, LinkedIn's a professional network and you shouldn't share anything personal comes from, right? And I got some bad news for everybody. Your clients are going to figure out who you are at some point, right? If you get paid for interacting with your clients, they're going to figure out who you are. And no matter what traditional advertising and marketing does to move them meeting you as far down the pathway as possible, they're still going to end up interacting with you. And so I would encourage you, be human. So I've got a little story.
Tell it, Mike.
Yeah. I was doing something that DLA trained me to do, and I knew how to do it, but I wasn't doing it because I wasn't confident. I didn't have an understanding of how I could be myself, be consistent, and not be a reprobate online, right? Adam, I had to go way down the list of potential terms there, and I did.
Yeah, we saw.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard, but anyways, like just trying to interact with people and following a strategy that I believed would work, and it does work. And I met somebody. We started talking. He's in my target market. It was my post today, and we were just genuine human beings in the same industry, different points, potentially working with each other in different ways. But we just I liked his content. I liked the way he communicated. He ended up liking mine. Other people got involved. And then I ended up having a call with the CEO of a really huge opportunity for me, like a triple your income potential opportunity. And it was just because of how I interacted with this other guy that introduced me to them. And then it got even bigger. Like it went from, I didn't think it could be any better one night. And then the next morning I had a discussion with them and it was bigger. And here's the thing that I wanted to say. If you come to social with an advertising mentality, you're only going to get linear results, stimulus, response. And that's not the power of social. The power of social is the exponential effect of other people seeing, not anecdotally, but seeing how you treat other people and how you communicate. And it opens up just multi-layered opportunities. I had no idea how big an opportunity this was, and I didn't treat it any differently than I would with anything else. And I think that when you default to the easy way, to the automation way, what you're really defaulting to is a very thin profit margin on your life.
Look what Nick says.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Digital karma.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's why email sucks. That's for Tim. I couldn't like your post today more, Tim. But
I was just having a bit of fun.
I tried. No, that was a credo.
I was just having a bit of fun. You know, as I said, we can stop the amount of email coming into our inboxes, wasting our time. The more that we can stop that, the better it is for everybody. It makes the world better. So if we, the more people that can, we all can do a little bit, and we all jump on that. we can get to the point where we could just get rid of email marketing. Won't the world be a better place?
It really would be.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Thomas.
Yes. So I guess, thank you. I guess I'd like to sort of take off on what everybody said, because it's kind of what I wanted to talk about today as a result of everything that we've been talking about. So when you talk about the fact that companies are now finding themselves in a position where they can't get good people, right? They can't attract good people. They're having a hard time doing that. When you talk about people now being able to have choices of where they want to work and how they want to work. When you talk about the fact that companies are now using more automation, as you sort of referred to a little bit there, Mike, and all these different changes, what you find, or at least what I'm seeing, and I just read a report that talked more about it, is that our industry, the sales industry, and people in sales are undergoing not just a dramatic change in how they do their jobs and the skill sets they need to do it, but in fact, the number of actual people doing it, right? And one of the stats I saw showed that from 2018.
This is a HubSpot article, isn't it?
It's yes, it is. And there's actually another one that goes along with it. But the stats that they shows that from 2018 to 2020, and this is March of 2020, or rather, I'm sorry, May 2020. The number of people in sales in the United States went from 18 million to 13 million, right? Now that does include retail salespeople, right, as well. So that in large part would have been impacted by e-commerce, but it would not have included much as it relates to COVID, right, specifically because the end result was tabulated in May of 20. So there would have been some of that in there, but certainly not all of it. And the point being that all these things that we're discussing, and the way that people now communicate, and the way they now leverage information online has changed, hopefully, the way companies put out their message and promote their goods and services to consumers and customers. And whether they do or not doesn't really matter, because customers are doing it anyway, right? So customers are looking online. They don't really care about your sales team. They don't really care how you sell or how you market. You're either where they find you or you're not. And if you're not, oh well, somebody else is. So it's really changed how our profession works. And many companies are taking the easy button. They're doing the email marketing because they don't know what else to do, right? That's what they've always done. They don't know what else to do. The other stuff
came out in the 1990s, 30 years ago, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And phone calls aren't working. Nobody's answering now.
Yeah. With it, we fax, just think of all the things that we haven't done, faxes, Tony Walkman.
God,
email marketing. 30-year-old technology.
Could you imagine if someone said, "I'll fax it to you"?
Yeah.
You'd look at them like,
well, yeah, you would. You'd go, well, how are you going to do that? 'Cause are you the only person in the world with a fax?
just remember the fax spam. Like you
used to put a bucket to collect it all.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you talked about, Thomas,
yes,
was you quite often talk to your customers and say, how do you communicate with your customers?
Yes.
And what answer do you normally get?
Well, generally speaking, sadly, email.
And so when a customer's, you go to a prospect and you say, so how do you communicate? They say telephone and email, and then what do you say to that?
So what I ask them is, how's that going?
Right.
Right. Is your customer base growing? Are you seeing more attrition? Are you seeing less sales from your existing accounts? How's all that going? Well, it's been a little flat, maybe a little negative. We're getting more attrition than we should be. And why do you think that is? Well, we're not sure. Well, I can tell you why that is, because your customers don't talk through email. They talk through Facebook Messenger. They talk online in real time. They're not interested in waiting for your email. right? Whether it's a spam marketing tool or whether it's a response to something they need. They already went on Facebook Messenger and found what they needed, right? With, sadly, a different provider.
They got one of these.
They have one of those. It's an amazing device. And by the way, you do too. You just don't know how to use it for the purposes of communicating with your customers. And that's the challenge, right? And that's where the divide exists. So companies just need to do some very, very simple things, and email marketing isn't one of them.
Well, they just need to do unto others as they would like done unto themselves, and that isn't that the irony? You know, we joke about this. You know, that the head of marketing at company X assiduously avoids all of the different adverts that they're presented with on the way to work. You know, they change the channel on the radio. Yeah, they don't look at them in the newspaper. They avoid the banner ads. They don't look at the stuff that's all over the train. They get into their office, and the first thing they do is sit down and commission some advertising and wonder why they've got no sales.
Adam and I were in Sydney or Melbourne in Australia, and Adam said that typical marketing person does all this, and one person went there and went, "I'm that person. I've just commissioned a load of advertising." We said, "So what are you going to get from it?" He said, "Well, nothing."
Hey, Adam. You know what my new question is for all those people is now? I say, if you're in advertising and you are a subscriber of any technology service that allows you for an extra price to avoid ads, that's something to think about. And Thomas, the one thing I wanted to ask you, just because you've been in this space a long time, and it's back to what you were saying, is why do you think so many companies have blinders on and only look at social as a way to gather new clients and don't look at it as a way to engage with their current clients? That's what I thought of when you were talking earlier.
Well, you know, I would take that one step further, and I would say that many companies don't even know how to use social to engage and develop new clients. But because if you don't know how to do one, you definitely don't know how to do the other. So it's a combination of those things, and I think the reasons, in large part, you can see in the changes that are happening. Tim and I were talking about this recently, in that the new power in the boardroom, if you will, is the CIO. And why is that? Why is the CIO the new power horse in the boardroom? Because the CIO has the answers. The CIO knows the world's digital, knows how to get a company to that digital world. It can't push the horse into the water, but it can show the horse the darn water. And there it is, and this is how we do this. The CIO has the power.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I love that saying. It was J. Edwards Deming that said it, I think, which is, without data, you're just someone else with an opinion. And I absolutely love that. And I love the fact that you can use facts to tell. In fact, I was having exactly this conversation with somebody not that long ago. And I said, what we do is we have a training program that teaches people how to behave differently. And we find that when we get people and we put them through this program, they have all of the skills that they need. And at the end of the program, what happens is they don't use those skills.
Right.
And the reason they don't use those skills is because you know how to do something doesn't mean you do it. And, you know, it's like the old thing about getting fit and losing weight. You know, you need to walk more and eat less, piece of cake. And yet, as we said in our exchange online, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry getting people to do the things they know how to do. So I was having this conversation with someone, and they said, "Yeah, I hear what you say, but I think actually what we want to do is we want to have like a couple of tips and masterclass type things, and then people can go away and they can do that stuff." I said, "Yeah, but they won't, because people never do, ever." And and it's really interesting, isn't it, that people somehow think that, despite the fact that they themselves haven't adopted this behavior, and that they may well have already had training in this space, and we've trained lots of people, and we've seen repeating patterns of behavior, and it doesn't matter what region you're in, what level you're in, what sector you're in, what industry you're in, always people behave the same, because people are, at the end of the day, people. And they've got experience themselves of this. We've done social media training in the past and it hasn't worked. And yet still they think that somehow it will be magically different this time. And I just find it flabbergasting.
Yeah, I remember teaching social selling way back in my corporate days. And it, you know, what we'll do is that we'll do a PowerPoint presentation. We'll explain to the salespeople how they can earn loads more money, and job done. And so we did a presentation, and nothing happened. So we paid for an outside expert to come in and do a hints and tips session for 2 hours, and guess what? Nothing happened.
But getting back to the point with respect to the data, because that was so well put, Adam, the answer is in the data, and when the CIO speaks and brings that data to the board's attention, suddenly the conversation from the sales manager and the marketing manager or the CMO or the VP of sales is muted, and the facts are on the table. And now we need to look at how to use these facts in the way that the company can move forward. And that's where the digital tools can now be brought into play. The problem is, and because there's still a challenge there, is that a CIO may move more towards automation and may move in directions that actually are more negative to the process if not used carefully.
I think, Thomas, the problem is a higher level than that, isn't it? It's that what you want data for, not you personally, but you as a person at the board of a company, what you want data for is to support what you already know or believe to be true. What you don't want is data to say everything that you've been doing isn't going to work anymore. Here's something really difficult that you need to do instead. What you want is the data and the facts to stroke you to say, here you are, everything will be okay, just keep doing more of this.
Right.
And, you know, if I saw a fantastic cartoon the other day, and it said, simple lies, difficult truths. And it had nobody queuing up at the stall selling simple lies. So, sorry, nobody difficult truths, and everyone queuing up at the simple lies. We all want to be told it'll be all right. Not, it won't be all right unless you do this, and this is going to be really difficult for you. And it's not about social; it's about just human behavior in general.
Yeah.
You know, Adam, the bigger point that you were making, but you didn't get to, is the real danger. No, because you've met it in the training. So I know this is what you're talking about. Is that when we silo this type of behavior modification and change to just the sales team, we doom it to failure, because then we're trying to isolate part of our like social company doing something new while everybody else keeps thinking and doing the other way. And this is why it's so important to be a social organization. I just that's where that breakdown comes in coaching, because if it's just the salespeople, it's really easy to say, well, they're just not doing it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's I think that's the real key, is that it's a little bit like when cloud first started, and you would have very isolated or parts of the organization using cloud tools. And then all of a sudden people realized, hey, this cloud thing is a fundamental trend that is going to transform everything. That's where we are with social. Social has absolutely, absolutely changed the world. We're not going back. And your organization, your people need to learn how to operate day to day with social media as a communication tool. It's not just like something you do and you come back. It is a tool that you use to get closer to your customers, your partners, your vendors. So you can, I mean, it's really transformative. I have been truly amazed, and it's made me so much more excited about the future. And all the things that even we were talking about earlier in this conversation, like how amazing it will be for my kid to be able to live in a world in their 20s where they could get a job and do that job from anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Just to think that, oh, I could have my same job and live in Spain part of the time, and then maybe live in the Caribbean for a little while, and then go and live in London and really experience life It's just making the world so much smaller. And I love knowing people all over the world. It's great.
You're absolutely right. But I think a fundamental challenge that that we as agents of change face is that when you give somebody that abstract expression of what this is, it's great. It helps move you closer to your clients, your prospects, your staff, your partners, and it brings you together. People go, yeah, I absolutely get that. And that's what they want. And then when they try to execute that, what they think they do, it's like the equivalent of turning up for an interview. I'm making sure everybody that goes for the interview is going to be wearing a blue pinstripe suit and a red tie and a white shirt, so I can look just like everybody else. And I'll stand up and I say, hi, I'm Adam. I've got 10 years experience of doing this. And before that, I did this. And these are my qualifications. And everybody's saying the same stuff. And they're being inauthentic. And the challenge for both individuals and organizations is to say, the thing that makes you, let's take you as an example, Emma, the thing that makes you special is you. Not where you've been, what you've done, but who you are and the kind of person that you are. And if I don't want that, then you're not the right person for my organization. If I do want that, then I can't go anywhere else. And people need to be empowered. It's an employer's and society's obligation to empower people to be themselves in this space. Because if they don't, then there's a big price to pay down the road, isn't there? And we're seeing that with mental health challenges and people churning from one job to the next where they don't fit in because they're trying to be something they want and the employer is looking for something that they don't actually want.
Well, the crazy thing is that the status quo is inauthenticity.
Yeah. Because if someone buys into you, Lenwood, you're the unique selling point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to buy into features and functions of some product or service. They buy into you.
Yeah, but that
and then they won't buy Thomas, or they won't buy.
It's just so interesting, though, that sort of the legacy of the 20th century is that the way in which we worked was separate from live and play, and that work part wasn't really didn't represent the integrated you. It was somewhat inauthentic. You're conforming to a certain norm, and what this technology has done, and you can see it really in the early stages, with Facebook and Instagram, where people would say, you shouldn't have those things on Facebook and Instagram because your employer can see them. So what's happened now is that the technology won, and it's about being fully integrated. You're who you are. You might be a little bit more personal on Facebook than you are on LinkedIn, but it's the same person. It's not a completely different person. You know what I mean? You're the media is the vehicle through which you represent yourself. You present yourself, and if you want to be sane, you'll do that authentically, because otherwise it's going to be Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
There's a different way to look at this, and I don't think it's an opposition, but one of the things that I think isn't talked enough about is that people that aren't going to be able to travel to work, which is going to be the vast majority of human beings that have ever lived and ever will live. We're not going to have a virtual workforce everywhere, because you still need plumbers, you still need tradespeople. And I just wanted to encourage, if somebody's listening to this, you haven't been left behind by social. But social is very valuable to you as well. And that's because social is scalable to what you want it to be. If you're a local contractor in Roanoke, Virginia, and you're wondering how you can use social, call me. I'll help you. Because what I'll show you how to do is how to have the local people that want to buy from another human being find you, get to know you, and then promote you as well. And I just want to encourage people. It's the freedom isn't just about being able to travel and do everything. The freedom is about being able to be recognized either hyper locally or internationally as a unique human being.
Yes.
Great point.
Yeah. Social media has and will change the world. And we've only just seen the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And what am I grateful for? I'm grateful to being at the forefront of this.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
So Tim,
although it still never ceases to amaze me. I'll be speaking to a CEO or a senior person, and they're wondering, how does social media going to help my company? So I want to show my lunch to my people, and I ask them, well, let me just ask you a couple of simple questions, and maybe we can walk towards that goal. How do you talk to your children or your friends? How do you talk to them? Well, I text them. You text them, okay? And you text your children? Well, no. Normally, I talk to my children on Facebook Messenger or some, WhatsApp or whatever it is. And they said, "Oh, do you think your customers do the same thing?" Yeah. Well, then why are you sending them all email marketing campaigns? Do you think they're waiting at home for your email marketing? Do you think they're waiting for your amazing next email? No. Well, then why wouldn't you just reach out and talk to them here? Because this is where they are, right? When you go looking for something for your company, where do you look? You pick up the phone and just start phoning people randomly? You're cold calling people to see if they do this or do that? No. What do you do? So as you walk people through these rather stupid questions, you get them to realize that as you guys are so rightly pointing out, social media changes the world. Now they may not want to call it social media; they may want to call it messenger or texting or what, but it's still all social media, isn't it? Right? And the way you actually are human now, as we are all doing right here, right now. Can you imagine the board meetings that are taking place in this kind of a venue, and how that's changed the reality of those boardroom meetings compared to what they used to be in the boardroom? Because what I've heard, hang on, just let me finish and then you can run. What I hear is that these meetings that take place like this, right, in the Zoom session or otherwise, have become much better meetings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just going to say, I was chatting to somebody yesterday, and he said that he was part of a board meeting, and the guy was it was either the chief exec or the managing director, was halfway through his presentation, and he said, "Oh, can I just pass over to you for a couple of minutes, please, Thomas? I've got an Amazon delivery." And he went out to go and get his Amazon delivery. And before the pandemic, that would have been seen as incredibly unprofessional. And now it's life, isn't it? It's the way that the reality of things is. And people are more flexible about how they do things, how much latitude they give people. And I love it. Absolutely love the fact that there's that opportunity.
It makes us more human. I mean, because life doesn't stop because some project needs to get done or you have some deadline. Life continues, things happen, and that's why this pandemic has been so powerful in changing mindsets, right? Because people were forced to deal with life and do work same time. We're going to do it at the same time, folks.
Yep.
So it's great.
Tim.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yesterday, my partner and I, we went to see Bon Jovi.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow. That's awesome.
New Jersey's finest. No, actually, New Jersey's finest is Lenwood, of course, but New Jersey's, it was at the cinema, but we went to see Bon Jovi. Can you imagine? That's like real world. Yeah.
You said we're going to get there dead or alive.
Yes, it's the bad medicine.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So what about you, Adam? What were you going to do?
What? Sorry.
In terms of today, bringing stuff along.
Well, obviously, I wrote something yesterday about BrewDog. So for those of you in America or outside of the UK, you may not be so familiar with this. There's a cult challenger brand of microbrewery beer. I say microbrewery, it started in one of the guys' garages, and they now turn over about 250 million pounds a year. And they've moved into America, and they're a global brand, and they're very funky, and they're a punk brand, you know. So they're always maverick, and they're challenging how things are done, and it's a very fast growth, fast paced environment. And I'm not expressing an opinion about whether or not I think any of the allegations are true, or whether or not I think that it's the nature of the business, because I think that you know, you ask one person and they say it's a dynamic, exciting workplace, and you ask somebody else and they say I've got mental health issues and I'm under incredible pressure because there's this high expectation of me and limited timescales. So you know, one person's excitement is another person's stress. But a large number of ex-employees wrote an open letter to the chief executive and to the world at large saying, you know, you bully people, this is unreasonable, you've sacked people, you've been very much not supportive of minority groups and not taking people's mental health into consideration. And it's particularly pertinent to us because, you know, these kind of revelations and allegations come out all the time about companies that are being successful. But it's particularly relevant and resonates with us because James Watt, who's the chief exec and the founder of the business, he's got a bit of a cult following on social. He's got 300,000 followers on LinkedIn. And typically when he does a post on LinkedIn, he gets 20, 30, 40, 50,000 likes on it. And, you know, it's social has been instrumental in powering the brand and his own personal brand to this rock star status that everybody knows who they are, everybody knows who he is. And I wanted to kind of address that in my post to say there'll be a lot of organizations that look at this and say, well, that's the danger with social. That's the problem. The problem is that people will say loads of stuff about you and you know, some of it will stick, and of course some of it will stick, but I think that we've seen this over the years with organizations that have said we're not going to allow people on social, we're not going to get behind social because we can't control the medium. And this is like, if I leave DLA Ignite and start to say horrible things about DLA Ignite, if DLA Ignite isn't on social, that doesn't stop me going and setting up an account and saying these things to a global audience on a global platform. And that's why brands absolutely have to be active on social. They have to be building a loyal fan base. So when these allegations come out, and I'm sure that in every company in the world, there will be disgruntled people and people that are unhappy and people that feel they've been laid off or sacked unfairly. Whether it's fair or not is not the discussion, but they feel that it's unfair. And then they will take to these social channels. They will take to Glassdoor and LinkedIn and Facebook, and they will air all of these views. Some of those views people will engage with and believe, and that's why as a company you have to be on social now, because at some point there's a time bomb which is ticking and it's going to go off. You know, someday someone that you have sacked is going to step forward and say, and he was a dreadful person to work with. So you have to have your loyal base in place, and not being active is now, I think, the biggest risk that companies face, because
I've read about Julie Sweet, the CEO at Accenture, and Bernard Looney, the CEO at BP, all who have big followings on LinkedIn, and they have an ability to immediately talk to that audience.
Yeah.
And you know, so and you know, in the past, the way that PR worked was that you announce something at a board meeting or something where it would be either monthly or quarterly. But now, you know, we get the Delta variant hitting India. Essentially have 23 or is it 28,000 staff in India. And they're immediately able to go out to the market and say, we're donating money to buy oxygen and buy the various stuff that is needed for our Indian teams. And they're able to do it straight away and talk to their audience. And immediately, you know, PR is always about timing, and they're able to get it out there straight away and just use that audience. And all CEOs need to be on social media. You know, it's
absolutely,
it's de facto now. I mean, if you're not on social media as a CEO, you look like a dinosaur. Period.
And treat your audience like people, not a crowd. You know what I mean? And I think that's what gets people like other people in trouble, is instead of being able to understand that you're having a live conversation and everybody's watching, if you get into that advertising mindset, you can make some big mistakes in how you frame.
Adam,
that's a brilliantly insightful comment, isn't it, from Sandy?
Yeah, thanks, Sandy.
That's fantastic.
It's perfect, and it's true. I agree with everything you said, Adam, but I thought you were going a different place with it. I actually think that there are a lot of bad actors in corporate America, and that corporate America is concerned more actually about the real deal about people in corporate America coming out than they are, about anything else. That's
You know what? You want to speak to corporate America? Say what Adam said so eloquently. The risk of not being on social and not having your leadership out there talking to your customers and your marketplace, the risk is far greater.
Yeah, you better hire leadership
than to be there. That was so well said, Adam. Yeah. That's the secret sauce. It's you tell corporate America what their risk is for not being there, and they'll be there in droves, and that will drag out those skeletons out of those closets you're talking about, Linwood, and the rest will happen naturally.
Yeah, speak truth to power, Thomas and Linwood.
Yeah. we'll have CEOs that are accountable. That's what we need. We need new CEOs that are social. We need to hire them because they're able to be social.
Yeah.
A topic for another day is just we need leadership development skills like unbelievable.
Well, let's talk about that. What you can bring that next week.
Yeah, next week. Leadership. Yeah. Let me write that down so I remember.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Thomas, Mike, Adam, Linwood, for coming for Restream, for the platform, for Michael. Yeah, absolutely, Michael, Sandy, Will, Ali, Nick. I think I've got everybody there. Somebody I didn't know, but thank you all for the interaction. It's what makes it. Thank you all for watching and attending, and we'll be here next week.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend. See you next week, everyone. Bye.